Hi, my name is Myra, and for today's video I want to go ahead and go over some of the books that have just been on my mind lately that I definitely know that I want to reread in 2024. I'm sure that this list will grow, but these are just the ones that I've been constantly thinking about and just pretty much want to jump back into and annotate them maybe, or just enjoy them again, like if I'm reading them for the first time. So I'm gonna go in no particular order. Side note, please excuse my hair. I blow dried it, but I really didn't style it or do anything to it because I'm trying to give it a break. It's Sunday, it's kind of cold outside. I'm just, you know, in some comfy clothes. And so yeah, so this is more casual, and again, just excuse my hair a little bit, but yeah. So the first series actually that I want to get back into is the Twisted series by Anna Huang. Now these books, they have mixed reviews on Goodreads and stuff, but when I read them, I was in love with these books. This is pretty much kind of what kickstarted my romance reading, you know, era, as people are calling it now. Just because I've always really liked reading, but I hadn't jumped back into reading after like college and being in like the workforce and everything. I hadn't really jumped back into reading, and it was until these books kind of started going around like 2 years ago that I really was like, oh, what is this about? And I ended up picking this up. So the Twisted series, in case you don't know, it does follow a group of 4 best friends, and each of the 4 books are about each of the best friends pretty much finding their happily ever after. This first book is with Alex and Ava. So Ava is her brother is best friends with Alex, who is the hero in this book. And Alex is this like super rich dude, but he's really mysterious. He's never really talked to Ava, and for whatever reason her brother ends up having to leave and tells his best friend, hey, I really need you to watch my sister and take care of her for me while I'm out of town. And he takes that role very seriously, and of course they're spending all this time together, so that's where the romance pretty much kickstarts. But I really am excited to get back into this series. Twisted Love was not my, well, it was my favorite, but then once I started reading the other books, Twisted Games is my personal favorite. I think it's because I really love The Princess Diaries, and so I think that that's why that one's my favorite. But I'm excited to read the whole series. I also remember that I really enjoyed their friendship, just because the female friendship in the books is really like positive, it's very uplifting. So that's really why I want to get back into this world. Now the second book, and again it's also a series, is the Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark. These are actually, I should have mentioned, these are both special editions. It's pretty much a mafia academy. Picture like a boarding school, but it's all mafia kids. Now it's not a high school, it's actually a college. And although I prefer reading books that are like outside of college already, I don't really like to read anything like involving high school or college. I prefer it when it's after. This series is actually super good. It's so entertaining, so action-packed. Some books more than others, but they are so good. This actually follows the kids from another series by Sophie Lark, but again, it's still such a great series. I definitely won't be annotating these because again, these are my special edition. They have like this great edges, so I don't think I want to mark these up. But I don't know, I might do that, but I don't know if that's like a big no-no. But either way, I really want to get back into the series. This one has, I want to say 6 or 7 books though. So they are quick reads though. I think for the most part, they're like around, yeah, like 350 pages. So they are a little bit quicker. I remember, I think I was taking like 2 to 3 days reading each book. So yeah, definitely recommend this Mafia series. Another series that I want to read, now this one I just read it in 2023. I know I don't know where I've been this whole time, but it's ATAT. As you can see, I have it here in my little shelf. I freaking love this series. I'm actually currently in the Throne of Glass series. I'm finishing up Assassin's Blade, and then I'm gonna jump right into Throne of Glass. And I know I didn't know there's this whole reading order, whatever. Please don't come after me. I'm just going in order based on how things happened. I know people recommend Assassin's Blade 3rd or 4th, whatever. I'm reading it first. Please don't come after me. But ACOTAR is that series that I want to reread. I devoured these books. I read them back to back, loved them. I want to go back in there so bad and annotate these and just mark them up and write down my favorite quotes and all that good stuff. But it is a fantasy series. If you haven't heard about it, please look into it. But it basically follows a human girl going into the fairylands based on a lot of things that happen, and each book follows her throughout the series. So yeah, that's this book. Now the next series on my list is Bruto Prince. So this is actually from the Brutal Birthright series. So this one actually follows or these are the parents of the kids from this series. And this one actually, I'm pretty sure the hero in this one is her son, or like their son. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99.9% sure. But anyway, this one is actually an arranged marriage. It's between two mafia families, and they are rival families, but there's something that happens, and instead of like pretty much going into this full-on mafia war, they decide, you know what, we'll marry our daughter to your son, and then that way we already have like blood ties, you can say, and that way we can't go to war. But it's so funny. And in this series, her name is Ada. I was like, I know her name starts with an A. I suck at names. Like, I can love a book and remember what it's about, but I forget the names because that's just how I am. But anyway, this one follows Ada. Ada has to marry Colin again because of this whole thing, preventing mafia war. But she is like so sassy, so strong, so sure of herself that I really enjoyed her as a character. She's so smart. So yeah, her and Callum, like, it's so funny. Again, also a quick read. This one's 330 pages. Like, it was a quick read. Sophie Lark, I love Sophie Lark. Honestly, her books are just so entertaining and so much fun. But this is another series that I really want to get into. Next, I have King of Greed that I want to reread. This is actually part of Anna Huang's King of Sins series. Yes, King of Sins. This is book 3, so it is the newest book. King of Sloth is the one that's coming up or coming out next. This one though, I absolutely loved it. The first 2 books, they were okay. I read them, they were fine. This one though was a 5-star read for me. I've talked about this book before, so I don't want to get too much into it, but it is a marriage in trouble. It's one of the first books that I've read that is marriage in trouble. And it doesn't start from like cheating or anything, because I've heard of some that it's like there's cheating and then they have to get past it. I don't think I'd be interested in that, to be honest. I just, no. But there is no cheating involved, but it is a marriage in trouble, and there's so much love between the 2 characters, but it's just more like she's standing up for herself and being like, listen, you're a workaholic and you have no time for me, so I want a divorce. And he's like, no, because you're the love of my life and you're my wife, so there's no way I'm letting you go. And it follows their story and him trying to get her to not leave him. And it's so entertaining and so good that, yeah, I don't think I would read the other 2. I definitely think you should read them in order, just because you get snippets already of this one. So when you're going into this one, you can already, like, you already saw signs of their marriage being in trouble in the other books. So this one, I'm just gonna be reading this one though, in this case. I actually want to get into Cora Riley again. She actually is the author that I started with when I started reading mafia romance books, and I really enjoyed them. This one is one of my favorites in the Bound by Blood series, and it's Bound by Hatred. I don't think I would read all the books, to be honest, but Bound by Hatred is one of my favorites because this one follows Mateo and what's her name? Gianna. And Gianna, like, she is so sassy and she is a rebel and she does not go down without a fight. And I just loved her, and I loved their book more. I did like Bound by Blood, or Bound by Honor, sorry. But there is cheating in that book. And I remember at the time, like, it's funny because I just saw, I think it was Larry, yeah, it was Larry Reed's that I saw, and I love watching her YouTube channel. But she recently read the series and she was making a vlog about it. She loved Luca, and then she sees that there's like a cheating thing that happens. Like, they're already married and like they haven't been like together, if you know what I mean. Like, they just got married, it's an arranged marriage, but like he's unfaithful to her. And after that moment, like, that doesn't happen anymore. But I had forgotten about that, and I was like, oh, that's right. So I still really liked that book because I don't know, I kind of found a way of like excusing it in my mind. I remember when I read it, but this one's like my second favorite. So I think I definitely want to read Bound by Honor, this one Bound by Hatred, and also from her Twisted series, Twisted Pride. That follows the Kimura Chronicles. So freaking good. It's all mafia. Check it out. Really good. Next, I actually never finished Midnight Sun. And if you don't know what Midnight Sun is, it's basically Twilight from Edward's point of view. A long time ago, Stephanie was forced to release those first few chapters because someone like put him out there in the world. So she had him up for her website, but the complete book was never out. Now, during lockdown, she actually ended up finishing the book and she ended up releasing it, but I actually never finished it. And I just noticed like I have literally like 100 pages to go, and I never finished it. I don't know why I didn't finish Midnight Sun, but anyway, I actually really want to just go back into Twilight. The rest of my books are, I think, in our storage, so that's why I didn't have them, but I definitely want to reread those and just kind of see what I think about them now that I'm an adult, and then of course finish Midnight Sun because I never did. But that's another one. It's a series that, you know what, for me, it's always gonna be like, I'm always gonna be a twihard. Like that's literally what people used to call it, even if now I'm like, oh geez, you know, whatever. But still, this is a series that is like near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading that. Now another series, and I actually don't own it, but I think I'll just be checking it out from the library, or maybe I'll be buying them. It's the Vampire Academy. That was another series that I read after Twilight when I was like, I need to read more vampire books, and that one is like totally different. I think that series has 8 to 12, like somewhere between 8 and 12 books, I think. I don't think it's anymore, but it's such a great series. It essentially follows vampires, but there's also like, they have different terms for them. So there's like vampires, and then there's like half human, half vampires. And then there's like strigoi, I think that's what it's called. And that's when you go off the deep end, but I can't remember what it is that you do to become a strigoi. Like something happens, but I don't know. So it's this whole thing, and it's a series that I read a long time ago, and I just really want to reread it and see what I think about it now. There was a movie that came out, and it was for like the first book, and then they never made any more movies about it. Let me know if you watched the movie actually, because yeah, I was like, I liked the movie, and I'm like, where's the rest of them? Like, I don't know, maybe the movie wasn't as popular, so they didn't release the rest of the movies, or they never made them. But I really hope maybe eventually it'll get picked up and it'll hopefully do well, and then it'll get released. Now I have another series that I really want to reread, and it is the Queens and Monsters series by J.T. Geisinger. In specific though, I really want to reread Brutal Vows. I like that book. I think about it so often, and I don't know why. It is like what it is about that book that I really like think about, but it's essentially a mafia series. The first book was okay, but the second, third, and fourth book I really liked, specifically the second and fourth book. In order to read it, I would 1000% recommend reading the second and third book before you read that fourth book, just because it's such a great series. And I've talked about it before, so I don't want to go too much into detail, but you see this hero in the second book, you see him in the third book. So when he finally gets his book, it's just that feeling of like closure. I don't know, that's like the best thing I can like think of. And it's such a great series. JT Geisinger, like her books are bingeable, like you just want to keep reading them. So that's another book that I really want to read, and I actually don't own it, so that's next on my purchase thing. Because if you notice, like these books that I own is because I read them, I love them, and I have them on my wish list, and either a family member bought it for me or I bought it for myself. So yeah, those are like, if I own it physically, that means something. Okay, so the next series and the final series that I really want to reread is Ruthless People by J.J. McAvoy. This is a mafia series, but it's totally different from other like mafia books that I've read, and that this 4-book series actually follows the same couple. So it follows the couple when it is an arranged marriage, so it follows them when they're meeting for the first time, and then as they slowly start to like fall in love, and then of course like they're married, and then are they gonna have kids, but then also like they still want to be like these like mafia, like she still wants to be like this badass like mafia woman. So yeah, this series is so good. I know some people don't like the ending, and let me tell you, this book, I remember I was like, I think it was the 4th book. Yeah, I was like tearing up, and I was like, no, how could this have happened? Like, I didn't know that this is that. And like, there's this whole thing, there's like plot twists in this book. Like, yeah, I would definitely recommend looking up triggers though, because I could see how some of the things that happen in some of the books could be triggering to people. And some people are like, I can't believe that that's how it would end, and how could she do this, and how could he do that, and blah blah blah. I actually really liked it. I was like, hey, this is different, like this is unique. So that's another series that I am definitely going to buy and binge and just read, because she is mafia, he is mafia, and he thinks, oh, we're gonna get an arranged marriage and she's gonna do whatever I want her to do. And she's like, actually, you have another thing coming, because guess what, I'm the one that's been like running my dad's mafia empire. It's not him, it's actually me. And just because you and I are getting married doesn't mean that you get to run everything, because I'm the one that's been like making all this profit. So now we need to be partners. And he's kind of like, wait a second, this is not what I signed up for. So this whole thing, loved it. If you've never read it, please read that series, because it is so freaking good. But anyway, I have so many books that I want to read that I've never read, and yet I really want to reread these. But you know what, it is what it is. I think just because there's more books constantly coming out, it doesn't mean that going back to your favorites is a waste of time. So if you've been thinking about a book that you're like, oh, I really want to reread it, but also like all these people are reading all these other new books, it's like, just reread that book, you know? Right now it's just because I'm really enjoying that Throne of Glass series, but I think I will be squeezing these in as the year goes on, or else I'm never going to read them, and I really want to reread them. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If there's any books at all that you want to read or reread that you think are worthy of a reread, please comment it down below, because then that means that that's more than likely a really great book. So if you read it and you want to reread it even though you know what it is, that's a good sign. So anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe if you want to stick around, and feel free to give it a like if you found any good recommendations here, or any books that you think, you know what, maybe let me check it out and see if Myra is steering me in the right direction, which fingers crossed, hopefully I am. But honestly, these are all top tier books, so you really can't go wrong. But again, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.